Welcome to the IT Fundamentals Training Series. This is your host, Mark Halpton. This is the real first episode of all the changes that we're doing. And today we're actually going to demonstrate from the computer screen what we're talking about. So this is the first combo, video, audio. Here we roll. Welcome to the IT Fundamentals Training Series. My name is Mark Haupt. I'm your host, and today is Enhanced Version 1. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to manipulate files today. And we're going to actually do the demonstration, and hopefully you can follow along or at least build this type of scenario yourself so that you can better understand how you can work with files that are on your computer. Now, we are specifically going to be talking about Windows 10 because I've talked to you before about how the book, although it does talk about Linux, it does talk about other operating systems like the Mac OS, the largest number of users and the types of computers that are out there are the Windows system. So we're going to specifically focus on Windows. If you want extra instruction on Linux or Mac OS, perhaps you can send me a note and I can send you a separate video just for that. But testing wise, this is what's important. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the basics of these file manipulations and program executions in the Windows 10 operating system. So whether you're an aspiring IT professional or just looking to boost your computer literacy, mastering these foundational skills will greatly benefit your journey in that effort. So again, just a reminder that this program, this ITF Fundamentals, IT Fundamentals Plus program, is not just for those who are going to get the certification, but this is really designed for anybody who wants to have a better understanding of the computer and the computer operating system. So again, today we're talking about file manipulation, and what we're going to do is pull up the file function on my computer, and you get to see what I've got going on here. Probably too much of what I've got going on, but let's have some fun with it. All right, so first of all, let's understand what files are. Files are, just as you might think, a program or a function within the program. They are a document, if you will, or perhaps a spreadsheet, an Adobe PDF document, things along those lines. Underneath my Alaska folder, we have a couple of different PDF documents here that I created as part of my preaching when I was in Alaska this past summer. I've got a number of different folders here that have files underneath them. So the folders allow for higher level archive or hierarchy, if you will, of categorizing files. So you can place them in there. What we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to demonstrate how to create a folder for you. So in Windows 10, there's a couple of ways to create the folder. Obviously, up here at the top, there's the new button, Create Folder. It gives you an opportunity to name that folder. So we're going to call our folder Test ITF Plus, and we're going to hit Enter, and that has become our folder. Another option is if you wanted to, you could right-click on there and select New again and create folder. And so we'll call that one also Test ITF Plus. And I'm going to demonstrate this for you. This is exactly the same name. So what happens is it shows you that you are having a duplicate folder name, and what it will do is the new one will replace the old one. Now, in this case, we don't want to do that. So I'm going to select no, but if you did want to do that, you could select yes. So I did that as no, and what it'll do, it'll automatically name it new folder. Now, if I want to rename this folder, I can right click on that and choose the rename button that is here, or I can hit the F2 function on my computer, which will allow me to rename it. Now, on my computer, I have a little bit of a problem with that, in the sense that I actually have to do function F2 on most computers. It is F2, and what I did there as a mistake is I hit F2 instead of function F2. Most computers, like I said, is just straight F2. I'm running off of a laptop here. that is a little bit different. So just take a look at your keyboard. Now, how do you know if you need to push the F function button first? Is if you see your keyboard and the F2 on your keyboard is kind of a subset or a sub note and is probably a different color. So for example, mine has a primary key of an audio piece that kind of shows that there's multiple things coming out of that megaphone, identifying that I would be raising the sound or raising the voice there, and then subset to that off to the right is F2. And so that is what's going on there on my computer. It possibly is on yours as well. So let's go ahead and find our test ITF plus to work within. All right, so inside of this, you can see that we have no folders, or I'm sorry, no files. So let's go and grab a file, and let's just copy a couple of these files, and I'm going to do that. That's something I'll show you here in just a moment, exactly how to copy those over, but I'm going to copy them safely into my ITF Plus so that I know that everything I'm doing against these, all this effort that I'm going to do in here of opening and destroying and editing and all that kind of thing is going to only be actionable against this test function. So the first thing we're going to do is, how do you open a file? So this one may sound pretty basic, but we are talking about IT fundamentals, so that's basic. So the one thing you can do is to double click on that file. When you double click on the file, what happens here is that the program type that file is associated with will execute. So in this case, I'm executing Adobe PDF as the file type. And within that, then you will find that the file will open up. In this case, it's a PDF copy of a book called Conflict Resolution, Why Elder and Staff Teams Strive Against One Another. So it's kind of an interesting subject there to talk about how your team could get rid of conflict, if you will. So that's one way to open a file. Another way to open the file is to right click on that and simply select open. And again, the program fires up and the full file opens up underneath that. I know it seems pretty basic, but again, we're talking IT fundamentals and we're demonstrating that is exactly what's in this book. Now, though, we're going to get to a little bit of a different space. You'll notice this thing here, it says open with. Now, this allows you to choose the actual product that you want to open with. So if we don't want to open this with Adobe, for example, let's say I want to open in a web browser like Google Chrome, I can select Google Chrome instead. And guess what? There it is. The product is open in Google Chrome and is allowing me to operate within that space. So there you go. I'll bet you are getting bored at, I know how to open a file, but guess what? We found something new for you to open up. And now I'm going to show you one other thing as well. So with that open with, you can actually choose any kind of application you want. But keep in mind that the encoding inside of that application may not allow it to be opened up. So for example, I'm going to open up this PDF document in Notepad. Now, notice that there's two buttons below. It says just once or always. This is, if you select always, this is how you can associate every single type of file that is for example, a .pdf with a particular type of default application. So we don't want to select always here because we want to see whether this will actually open up in Notepad or not. So we're going to select once. So just one time, we're going to try to open up that conflict resolution and open it up in a text document. Now, as we do, you can see this is what's called metadata. This is all the encoding and the coding that's behind this. You can see there's filter, flat, decode, first length, ... and all these things. This is unreadable machine text is what this is. And now that is a perfect example of telling us that we have used the wrong product wrong application to open that file. All right, so once we open a file, we're moving on beyond that. Showed you a few things you probably didn't think you were going to see. But opening that file, so we've double clicked on it this time just to simply get there. We're going to now start looking at editing files. All right. So the editing of the files can be a challenge as well. This particular case, we have it open in PDF, and PDF is designed to be uneditable of the actual text itself. But there are certain things that you can do in this depending upon the type of a PDF file of product that you're using. So one of those options, for example, is it actually says you can edit the PDF. Now, not all PDF functions or all readers will allow you to do that. There is a very basic Adobe Acrobat reader that will not allow you to edit it. But I have a more advanced copy of it because of some of the things I do with my work. And so I can choose to edit that. And notice what happens when I choose to edit. These boxes come up around it. We call these the dancing ants because on some applications, these are actually moving. Sometimes they're moving and you can't see them. But if I wanted to make a modification, I simply go inside of the dancing ant box, and I'm right here. I am switching the copyright date to 2023. And guess what? There it is. It's changed, and away you go. I could also add text to this by simply clicking the text option, putting in a text box, and typing in test. This is a test, if I can spell correctly. So that's how you edit a PDF document. That's how you would edit any other types of document. So if this were a Word document, then we could edit the document in Word instead of PDF. And as a matter of fact, let's just take a look at that. If you get a PDF document and you are thinking to yourself, you know what, I really wish this were in Word format, guess what? You can convert it over to Word format. Again, if you double click to open the document, and then you use the export function, and be able to export this as another type of document, you can do that. So under there's a couple different ways to do this. So I click on the menu, and then I go to export a PDF, and it gives me the Word document option. Is it Word doc or Word 97 through 2003? I highly suggest you just take the Word document, or if it's an Excel document, whatever the case may be, and do that. Now, what it's going to do when you do this is it's going to ask you to save it in the new format, which is typically the same file name with the new encoding or the docx option. So I'm just simply saving that. You can see the progress bar down here. It's exporting that file, and it's almost done. There it is. And then what it will do, it will execute the Word application and pull the product up in Word for me to make any sorts of modifications. And once it does that, then I can make those modifications right here. So I highlight a section and I hit delete. Or perhaps instead of saying and ideas, I want to say ideas and. And so there you see the editing of the file. Just make sure you save the file when you're done. Now, again, we're playing with some test files, so we're not impacting our regular files. One of the suggestions that I have for you is that if you do want to edit a file, you make a copy of it. So you always have the original to go back to in case you've made a mistake like I did or would have there by completely changing the context and the content of this book. All right, so there we are again. So now creating new files can also be a challenge. So what I want to do, if I want to create a brand new Excel file, what I would do with that is, or let's just say a Word file. So I would find the Microsoft Word product on my computer by searching in the search bar if it's not already a highlighted item. I would bring up Word, and I'm actually activating Word right now. And I'm going to bring up the Welcome to Word. No, I'm not. I'm going to bring up a blank document. And I'm just going to say, this is a test document. All right. So this is creating a new document from scratch. All right. Absolutely nothing else going on here. Then I would go file and I would do the save as function. I would go to either the test ITF plus folder, or I would browse to that test ITF folder right here at Common Sense Security. Go down to test ITF, scroll down, there it is. I'm going to leave it as named as this is a test document. And guess what? I have created that new document. Now, if I'm already in a Word document, so let's go back to pulling up conflict resolution here. If I'm in this Word document, and let's say I just want to extract some pieces of information from this document, like perhaps I want to select just about this first paragraph about the authors. I would highlight that, and then I would select copy. Then I would go over to file, blank document. You see this is very familiar. And then I would paste it in there. And you see now I've created a new document, and I can go about this saving process just like I did that I taught you a moment ago. So this time I'm going to add a new name. I'm just going to call it new extract documents just for the fun of it. And then I hit enter or save, and there is my document. Let's go back to the folder to take a look at that, to see where that exists. And there it is, new extract document. All right, so that's how you open files, edit files, create new files. Now, how do we move files? Well, there's a couple of ways to move files, as you might suspect. All right. So first of all, if you see the file you want to move, you can right click on that, and you can then choose to copy that file, and then you can navigate to the new folder that you want to place it in. So I'm selecting new folder, and then I right click on that to paste it for some reason. There we go. Sorry, there's the paste. You can paste either through the icon or the Control V. So that's one way to move the folder or file. The other way is to select the file and then navigate on the navigation pane off to the left. We're moving it from the new folder into test ITF. So we're going to grab it and select with our right mouse button, drag it over and drop it into test ITF and select move. Now you see there's options here for copy, move, and create shortcut. If I move it, it will literally remove itself from the folder, which is called new folder that it's in, and place it in the ITF plus folder that I'm selecting here. If I copy it, it will leave a copy in the current new folder, as well as placing a copy inside of the ITF plus folder. If I create shortcut, then the only thing it's going to do is it's going to create a shortcut item inside the ITF folder that links back to new folder, so I can activate that. What we're going to do here is we are going to move, because I want to show you what happens whenever the file already exists. It will pop up a replace or skip files identifier here, or dialog box. And there's three options that will let you do here. You can replace the file in the destination. So that means when you replace it, whatever's currently there will be completely overwritten. It is gone, completely overwritten in the new location. If you've made a mistake and you really don't want to move it, you would select skip this file, and then essentially nothing will happen, although it will go across the screen and pretend like it's going to happen. And the one that I'm going to show you is compare info for both files. Now, what this does is it shows you the metadata, or the basic metadata, if you will, on both files. And it gives you a couple of options to work with. You can select one file you want to keep and the other one you don't. Or if you wanted to, you can select both. And what will happen is it will rename the new file to the existing name plus a little bit of an extension, so you know the difference. The third option is you can skip the files that are identical so that you don't overwrite. So we're just going to create that new file. So I've moved it, and you see here this extension has that number 2 after it because there's the one that was identical to it. Here's the one that we copied. Now, again, we're going to move this back, this number 2 back into new folder. So if we need to play with it later, we can do that. Oops, I just moved it, not copied it. So let's just rotate that again as a test. So we right click with the mouse, we drop it onto the test ITF plus, and this time we're going to copy it. And you'll notice what happens is it stays in the new folder. And then if we go down to ITF plus, you'll see that there is a copy in that folder as well. Those are identical copies that are there. So that's how you move the folders. And that's partly how you copy, cut, and paste folders as well. So I identified for you how you can right click and drag them, copying back and forth. You can also you can select if you wanted to. You can right click, and these icons at the top, you can select the Control C or copy option. And then if you do that, so I'm going to do Control C, and then I'm going to go to the new folder, and I'm going to do Control V on my keyboard, and then I'm going to get that oops, replace, skip, or compare scenario again because I'm copying or attempting to copy on top of an existing file that looks identical to the computer. So I'm going to compare both. I'm going to tag them and create new document number 3 as a result of that. Now, let's say you made a mistake. You really don't want that new document and new extract document number 3. What are you going to do about it? Well, first of all, you can select it. And you can hit the delete key, and guess what, on your keyboard, and it goes away. Another option you could do is right click and select the trash option, and again, whoops, there it is, that's gone. So poof, gone. Deleting files, pretty simple function to do that. Now, there's another aspect too here. Let's say that these 2 documents, we're going to be talking about renaming files. Let's say these 2 documents are actually the same thing, but really what I want is I want to call one by a different name. So I can right click on that. I can select the rename function here from the icon, or I can do the F2 function. And once I get rename, what happens is that shows in that that entire box of what the title or the name of the file is, and I can delete that and rename it what I want. So I've called this one renamed file. All right. Now, let's just kind of take a look at that, from a renamed file perspective, and see what else we can do with that. So if we've got renamed file, another way to handle this is you could simply click on the title, like new extract document. So I've selected it now by single clicking with my mouse, and now I single click again and it brings up that dialog box, and we can then type in called extract document, hit enter, and that closes things up under the new name. All right, so that's how you would rename the file in 3 different manner. So button, clicking, and then clicking, and then so there's your button, hitting the F2 key, or clicking and then clicking, single clicking and single clicking on the file name. All right, the last thing I want to show you in this segment is how to create a shortcut. So again, you would right click on this scenario, and you would choose how you wanted to deliver this. All right. So we want to potentially select show more options. And then from inside of there, we're going to say, oh, it's here somewhere, create shortcut right there. So I'm going to create the shortcut, and you see what it does is this is just an icon that has a link function in the back of it. That one right there says file shortcut that leads literally to this document. Now let's take a look at the properties on that to kind of understand it a little bit. So this is a shortcut, and here's what it is. This is the code on the inside of that that tells you where it goes. You could even change the shortcut key. So for example, if you want to change the shortcut key to be F9, which I don't recommend you do, then it will, you could say, make it so all you have to do is hit F9 on your keyboard and pops up. You can also change the file location by doing that. Let's go to properties once again, show more options, properties. You could change the icon. This was a fun one. So if I wanted to, I could change the icon to a recycling bin for that particular file. Look at that. There it is right there. I changed the icon. And then there's some advanced kind of stuff too. You can run it as an administrator, things along those lines. So those are some things that you can do to files within your computer. Now, what we also want to do is we also want to talk just briefly about executing programs. So we've already talked about executing program from the perspective of you find Microsoft Word, for example, and you double click on that, and that starts the Microsoft Word program. That is the most common way to do that. Okay. Now, what you also need to take a look at is installing or uninstalling new programs. Now, I'm going to real quick stop share on my computer and then go back to reshare the screen here so that you can see everything that's going on. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how to install a new program. Now, I can't exactly show you how to install a new program entirely because I don't have one of those to do. But typically what you would do is you would go download the installer for that desired program. You would then open it up and go to where it's downloaded at, which is typically under downloads. And then you would double click on the executable to fire that up. Now, make sure that that executable is not a problem from perspective of malware or some sort of virus type of situation. So you would just simply double click on it and execute it. Now, uninstalling a program is a completely different process. What we want to do with that is then go to, we'll go down to the search bar here and go to settings. All right, so we're going to click on settings. We're going to go to apps and then app features or installed apps right there. All right. Installed apps. Now these are all this applications that are installed on my computer. All right. All of these along here. Now let's see if we can find one that we do in fact want to uninstall so that we can show you how to do that. So let's say I don't really want the Microsoft Get Help program on my computer. I click the three dots over here. I would click uninstall to make that uninstall. Now that's not something that we want to do. Let's see, Intel graphics, mail and calendar, maps, really not find anything because I usually keep my computer pretty clean in regards to the products that we use. Let's see if we can uninstall. Yep, right there. So I really don't care to have Microsoft Corporation's news on my computer, especially as a work computer. So I click on the three dots off to the side. I select uninstall, and then I reselect it to make sure that I want to uninstall. And then what's happening behind the scenes is it's executing the uninstall, and you see what happens is it goes away as a result. That is the easiest way to do that. So again, go to settings, go to apps, and then go to installed apps on your computer. Find the application that you want to uninstall, select the three dots, and then select uninstall from that. And what should happen in the background is the uninstall function should run for you and should not be too much of a problem from there. All right, I hope you had a good description here and you had these items on the screen this time instead of just me talking through it. I hope that's a better training series. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go do all of these yourself. I want you to go have fun, create some files, delete some files, rename some files, get practice at doing that. So congratulations, you have that new solid foundation in managing files and executing programs within Windows 10. And just remember that practice makes perfect. Go play around with these things. And I promise you in no time, these are going to be second nature. So happy computing. I look forward to talking to you on our next episode. And I hope that this episode with these demonstrations in there has been a successful new effort as we launch to enhance the product that we're bringing to you. Again, my name is Mark Haupt. I am your host for IT Fundamentals Plus Training, and this has been how to execute, uninstall, file manipulation, all those good kinds of things. Looking forward to the next time. Later on.